Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanam Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Stadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Narayanam Gurum Vande Sharanyam Bhakta Bandhavam Gaudamanubhishtam Purnam Radhadasyam Pradayakam Rupanugacharya Varyam Rupamanjari Preshtakam Patita Pavana Karunayam Yugacharya Narayanam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tuise Namaha Shama Sundara Shikanda Shekara Ismira Hasar Murali Manohara Radhikara Sikamam Kripanide Swapriya Charana Kinkarim Kuru Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vrindai Tulasi Devyai Priyai Keshava Sacha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramu Ramo Ramo Hare Hare. So first of all, I begin offering my most humble obeisances to the dust of the lotus feet of Paramaradatam Shri Guru Pada Padma Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Sata Srimad Shila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Shila Gurudeva, and to my most worshipable Shiksha and Sannyasa Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Ashtotara Sata Srimad Shila Bhakti Vijnana Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to all Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga, to all Tridandis Sannyasis, Brahmacharis, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, and to all the assembled devotees here, my most respectful obeisances. So by the causeless mercy of Srila Gurudeva and all Mahabhagavatas Acharyas, we are able to assemble here one more time. So continue reading from Sri Ramananda Samvada. Now we are going to continue reading the explanation of the first shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, which we read last time. Because there was a comparison that Mahaprabhu, he inspired the heart of Ramananda Rai in the same way that Lord Narayana inspired the heart of Brahma. So that Brahma revealed the Vedic knowledge to the whole, creation afterwards, to all his sons and etc. So in the same way, Rai Ramananda, he is revealing to the whole world all these very confidential topics that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has actually inspired him to speak. So Mahaprabhu, he asked the questions, and through Rai Ramananda, he himself gave the answers. As Rai Ramananda said, that Mahaprabhu makes him speak like a puppet, like a parrot, like repeating only his words. So this explanation is based on the commentary by Srila Siddhara Swami. Siddhara Swami, if no one is maybe familiar with him, he's one of the first commentator of Srimad Bhagavatam that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted. And it was afterwards quoted by all the Goswamis as a basis for their own commentary. And Srila Gurudev also, when he published the book Rasa Panchadhyay, which are the 5 chapters of Bhagavatam about Rasa Lila, included there the commentary of Siddhara Swami, Jiva Goswami, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur himself says that the commentaries of Srila Siddhara Swami are very basic and mostly based on cutting the Mayavada philosophy. While the commentaries of Jiva Goswami Pad is based on Swakiyaras, means to establish the merit of relation between Radha and Krishna, and also then the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is in line with Srila Rupa Goswami regarding Parakya Rasa. So in this way, they're all complementing, each other. So if you have opportunity to read Gurudev's books, Rasa Panchadhyay, then you be able to relish these 3 commentaries and dive very deep in this topic. But yesterday, I also suggested to you to read the book called The Hidden Truths of Bhagavatam. Okay, it is there available in the purebhakti.com website. You can download for free. And there you're going to find the 5 different meanings for this first shloka of Bhagavatam. Okay, yesterday a little bit I spoke about that. So all evidence ascertains that it is that supreme truth which creates, maintains, and destroys this universe. Upon deliberating on both the apparent and hidden meanings, one sees that only he is to be known, and he is the original form of all existence. It is he alone who is the self-manifest and independent master of this world that we see. It is he who, as the indwelling super soul, gave teachings to Adi Kavi, the original poet, Lord Brahma, on that all-pervading truth. Contemplating him, all greatly learned scholars and panditas fall into illusion again and again. The 5 material elements seem to exist in him, but this is like a mirage in the desert. In him, the 3 types of creative potency, Jiva Shakti, which manifests the Jivas, Maya Shakti, which manifests the temporary universe, and Chit Shakti, which manifests the spiritual world, are present in a real form. By the potency generated from his own Swarupa, not from another agent, or his Atma Shakti, he remains eternally beyond ignorance. We meditate upon that absolute truth, Shri Krishna. To also understand more this subject, you can read also the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So that means the 4 verses, original 4 verses, like foundation of Bhagavatam. Krishna also is speaking to Brahma in that way, revealing different types of evidences that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he is the super soul, and things like that. This same type of subject we are discussing here. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given another translation of this verse in his book Shri Bhagavatarka Marichmala. A minute portion of the internal potency, Swarupa Shakti, is the Tatashta or Jiva Shakti, and the shadow portion of that internal potency is called the external potency or Maya Shakti. From the Tatashta or Jiva Shakti of Bhagavan, the individual spirit souls are manifest. And from Maya, the material world has manifested. Due to having a consciousness of separatism, and thus being opposed to the service of Bhagavan since time immemorial, the soul is put into a condition whereby he is illusioned into thinking that he is controlled by material nature. Bewildered by the false ego and mistaking an object for something else altogether, he considers the material body to be the real self. the soul thus remains connected to this material world. The conclusion is that the material world, full of both moving and non-moving entities, is manifested both directly and indirectly from Bhagavan. Mixing together Purusha, Prakriti, and the Mahatattva. Mahatattva means the total sum of material elements. There are a total of 28 ingredients in the creation. Means creation is made out of 28 ingredients. From these 28 tattvas, all of the other moving and non-moving groups of living entities are said to be manifest. And of all these tattvas, the omniscient Supreme Person is the knower and embodiment of real knowledge. Scholars have described the method by which one may differentiate between two objects, even though their intrinsic natures may be identical. Among the 28 elements of the creation, there are two types of Purushas, or conscious entities. One is Purna Purusha, the Supreme Controller, he who is the Lord of the illusory potency called Maya, and the second is Anupurusha, or the infinitesimal conscious entity, the Jiva, who can be controlled by Maya. Thus, Bhagavan, the complete consciousness, is he who knows both the created and the uncreated. So, basic understanding about Jiva Tattva, Bhagavat Tattva, Maya Tattva. So, Bhagavan, he is Purna Purush, means the complete controller, means omnipotent. And the Jiva is Anu Purush. Anu means minute or atomic, means very, very small. Here is saying infinitesimal. Means we also have tendency to control. Because we are managing our lives, we are controlling, this and that. And ultimately, depending on how much power you have, you can even think you are God yourself, right? God himself. So you can think you are the controller, like a big scientist. You think that, you are able to manipulate nature and manipulate many things like that. So that Bhagavan, who is perfectly served by the strength of his own Swarupa Shakti, is situated in his own Swarupa, even before the creation. Thus, he is complete and self-manifesting. After bestowing mercy upon the heart of the original poet, Shri Brahma was able to manifest the real meaning of the Vedas, which due to being exceedingly difficult to understand, even for vastly learned persons, are the cause of their bewilderment. There are three types of creation, namely that pertaining to spirit, that pertaining to jiva, and that pertaining to dull matter. There are some examples of creation pertaining to spirit, such as fire. Just as fire stays unmanifest until forced to appear upon the rubbing of two sticks. In the same way, even though the entire spiritual creation is eternally present, it only manifests according to the desire of Bhagavan. So what he's saying here, he's saying that this type of creation pertaining to spirit. Spirit means here spiritual things, like the spiritual world. It is compared to the fire. Fire may be already there inside the rock. You just need to be manifested. So when some friction comes, then the spark will manifest. So as a potency, that spark is there. But then, in the same way, like the spiritual creation is also always manifested, eternally present, but only can be visible by the power of Bhagavan, by the desire of Bhagavan himself. There are other examples pertaining to the creation of the jiva, such as water. Upon becoming excessively cold, water becomes hard like stone, and upon being excessively heated, it becomes vaporous. The jiva emanates as a tiny particle of spirit, Chittakana, from the sun-like Shri Krishna. Upon becoming opposed to the service of Bhagavan, the jiva takes shelter of a transformation of his original dharma and becomes bound by the deluding potency called Maya. When the jiva becomes inclined towards Bhagavan and takes shelter of Bhagavat Prema, his heart melts and becomes exceedingly soft and affectionate. The fruit of this is the inclination to engage in the service of Bhagavan. So here we can, here the jiva, the nature of the jiva is compared to water. Water can change its state according to the influence of the environment, right? So when under influence of Maya, means the cold, then water becomes hard. That means the jiva becomes what? Hard. His heart becomes hard. Means he's unable to feel, subtleties, spiritual subtleties. So when it is under the influence of the heat, which is compared to the influence of spiritual life, then automatically that water melts, means the heart of the jiva is melting, then he's able to become more, receptive to spiritual things. So here we can compare lust with the ice, and prema with vapor. So in this way, when that is like ice, it's very difficult to, become, it's very fixed in its own type of condition. But as a vapor, it can, become more receptive, can absorb more easily things, spiritual things. So pertaining to the creation of inert matter, the example of the element earth is given. By fashioning clay, we can make pots and earthen bowls. In the same way, the material creation is simply a transformation of the sum total of the material elements, pradhana, by Bhagavan's inconceivable potency, achintya shakti. The creation is certainly a reality. It is not false, because it has emanated from Satya Swarupa Bhagavan, the very form of truth, even though it is temporary and destructible by nature. So this is one of the main mistakes that the Mayavadis they do when they say that this world is false. This world is not false. It is real. They say it is false because it is an illusion. But the way we should understand illusion regarding to the material world is not by classifying it as false. It is true. It gives even reactions, gives bondage. So it is not false. False is your dream. Your dream is false. Your dream does not cause any karma, any reaction, any bondage, right? So this material world is not like a dream. It is real. But the way it is illusory because it is temporary. This tattva is very important to understand. It is temporary, therefore illusion. Illusion in the sense that it does not look what it means. It is not showing a eternal reality, or it's not our home, our destiny. It's not the place where we are going to become happy forever. In that way, when we think the opposite, then it becomes illusion-like. But it is definitely real. Also, the Buddhists, they think like that also. If you read that book of Parang Gurudev, Vaishnava Vijay, Life History of Mayavadism, that Gurudev afterwards he made into going beyond, not going beyond, beyond Nirvana. That book, Beyond Nirvana, is very necessary to read. It is very dense and very like academic, that Param Gurudev has put there all the history of Buddhism, Mayavadism, the four Vaishnava Sampradayas, and he explained about everything with all the evidences, and many things like that. So, and he discusses there, and he uses the arguments of Madhvacharya and also Ramanujacharya against the Mayavadis and the Buddhists. And one of the things he explains there is like that. What is the meaning of illusion? Illusory. It is because it is temporary, not because it is false. And Param Gurudev even says that, Buddhists say this world is false. Mayavadis also say this world is false. You should not look at it. You should not care for it. Just put your mind in the emptiness and let things go. But if they acknowledge the nature of Buddha itself, of becoming Buddha, if they acknowledge the nature of sadhana itself, made in this material world, then how can they say it is false? If that would be false, it could never generate a spiritual benefit. Understand? So why they do sadhana? Why they want to become enlightened? Why they want to become Buddha? Why they use this brain, this mind, everything which is material? Why they use examples of the material nature? Why they dwell in the world? Why they want to cut the suffering of the people? If they say everything is false, then how could any positive spiritual result come out of that? So not only positive, negative also comes. So in that way, it is not false. It is true and true and true, but temporary. Okay? So this is the root of this argument. So anyway, the example given here is earth. Earth is compared to the material creation. It can be modeled, in so many ways. Like a clay pot can be modeled. Like all these material elements, they can be modeled, and they can make varieties of objects. Sri Bhagavan, the object of his devotees' love, mercifully performs all types of activities by his potencies, Jiva Shakti and Maya Shakti. But he always remains separate from these activities. Immutable, he is situated in his supreme abode, in his own Swarupa, resplendent with his full potency, Sri Radha. The moving and non-moving material creation is manifested directly and indirectly from Sri Bhagavan, who is endowed with complete potencies and who is all-knowing, complete, self-manifest, and beyond any transformation. It is by his mercy that the factual meaning of the Vedas was manifested in the heart of Lord Brahma. And by his inconceivable potency, he remains unchanged, even though performing the creation of the spiritual world, the jivas in the material world. I worship that Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, the Lord of Goloka, whose spiritual form is true and eternal. We will worship him by remembering and chanting his name, form, qualities, and pastimes, which are all spiritual, being composed of Satchit Ananda. The sublime philosophy of inconceivable simultaneous oneness and difference between Bhagavan and his potencies, Achincha Beda Beda, as preached by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is established in the explanation of this verse. Shri Ramananda Rai, in quoting all of the above mentioned evidence, intentionally attests that Sri Gaura Sundar alone is factually the controller and instigator of intelligence, to which the Gayatri mantra refers with the word Bhargo. Bhargo means potency. He reveals that none other than Shri Gaura Sundara has given this Krishna Tattva, Radha Tattva, Prema Tattva, and Vilasa Rasa Tattva as is spoken from his Raya's mouth. He say from his Raya's mouth. Means Mahaprabhu is revealing through Ramananda Rai all these tattvas. And regarding this word Bhargo, it was analyzed by Srila Bhakti Rakshashidhar Goswami Maharaj as being the power, the potency present in Krishna. So, as per the Brahma Gayatri, Brahma Gayatri says also this word Bhargo. Ladies are not chanting this mantra, but it says Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Dhimahi means I meditate. Bhargo Devasya, in the potency of Deva. Who is Deva's potency? This is Radha. Deva means Krishna. So therefore, everything is done by actually the potency. Therefore, we meditate on Srimati Radhika when we chant this Brahma Gayatri mantra. Now, next verse comes. Prachodita jana pura saraswati vitam vatat jasya sating smriting mridi swalakshana pradura bhut kilasyatha sa me rishinam rishabha prasidatam. Bhagavatam 2:4-22. At the time of creation, in order to awaken within Brahma remembrance of the previous kalpa, he inspired the presiding goddess of knowledge, who manifested herself through the mouth of Brahma in the form of the Vedas and as the different limbs of knowledge. May Sri Bhagavan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the root cause of all knowledge, be merciful upon me and manifest himself within my heart. So there is many things in this verse. Basically, he's considering this Sri Bhagavan as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Many things we can discuss from there, but let us move on here in the text itself. So Sri Jiva Goswami says that the word Satyam indicates Jnanam Anantam Brahma, or the supreme truth. This Paratattva is, in terms of his Swarupa, his energy, his thinking, feeling, strength, and willing, completely independent and eternally all-pervading. The Paratattva is Sarva Shaktiman, Sarva Avatari, means the source of all incarnations, Sarveshwara, the supreme controller, Param Satya, the supreme truth, and Parabrahma, the supreme soul. He is Brajendra Nandana Shri Krishna. In his commentary, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that Shri Krishna is directly and indirectly the Upadana Karan, or the ingredient cause of creation, and also Nimitta Karan, the efficient cause of the creation. The universe is created, maintained, and destroyed by him. He has complete knowledge of matter and spirit. He is self-manifest and independent. He does not rely on anyone or anything. By him, even learned persons are bewildered. Solely by virtue of his desire, he manifested the Vedic knowledge in the heart of Brahma. One may confuse the three elements of water, fire, and earth, considering any one to be the other, seeing water in earth as a mirage, earth in water as a reflection, or fire in water, the sunrise. In the same manner, by dint of one's faulty intelligence, created from the three modes of material nature, one might consider the body of that supreme controller to be false, or knowledge of him also to be falsehood. Consequently, any object resulting from the mixing together of earth, water, fire, and air is a product of Maya's creation, and as such is also false or temporary. He who directs the creative potency of Maya is not false or temporary. He who by his own potency dispels the influence of Maya, or illusory energy, and is forever present in his eternal abode. I meditate upon that supreme controller. Oh, so much tattva, very dense, very, very dense type of kata. So much information is there. If perhaps you have any doubt regarding any term, please let me know afterwards, okay? Otherwise, I will have to explain so many things. I don't know how much you are following or not. So please let me know, okay? Otherwise, I don't want to take so much time explaining many terms and many things here. But I'll be happy to, help you afterwards if you have any doubts. Just you can write down and ask me later. So the verse Janmadya Sajattaha also depicts the pastimes of Sri Gauranga. Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who descended to this world, is Krishna covered by his Ashray Swarupa, Sri Radha, in order to taste his or Krishna's own sweetness, Adasya. He manifested his pastimes of birth, Janma, in the house of Sri Shachidevi and Sri Jagannatha Mishra, Jataha, from Navadvip Dham, Tattaha, and he later traveled Amvayat to Sri Nilachal Dham, Itarascha. He is expert abhigya in the subject matter of the wealth of prema, arteshu, and he, Yaha, expanded, Tene, the essence of the Vedas, Krishna Tattva, Ridha, before the best of poets, Sri Ramananda Rai, Ja Adi Kavaye. It's very beautiful. Now what Gurudev is doing, he is comparing all that, description of that first verse of Bhagavatam, which before was associated with Krishna, Brahma, and the whole material creation, with Mahaprabhu, his life, and he is inspiring the Adikavi Rai Ramananda. Very beautiful comparison Gurudev is doing here. In that book I mentioned to you yesterday, the hidden, the secret truths of Bhagavatam, Gurudeva gives the 5 meanings of that verse, of this first verse. And the 5th, as I mentioned, was regarding Mahaprabhu, Leela, and the Adikavi there is Rupa Goswami. But now Gurudeva gave another explanation regarding to this relation between Mahaprabhu and Rai Ramananda, and he put Rai Ramananda as Adikavi. Okay? But actually, in fact, we know that Rupa Goswami is even superior to Rai Ramananda. So the real Adikavi in Mahaprabhu Leela is Rupa Goswami, not Rai Ramananda. So in front of him, even learned scholars, Shuraya, are placed into bewilderment, Muhyanti. When the 5 material elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, Tejo Varim Ridam, interact in the right proportions in the presence of Mahaprabhu, then an astonishing level of bhakti arises, which allows those proud scholars, the fools, the poor, forest tribes, hunters, aboriginals, bears, trees, creepers, and also Westerners, I would add, to attain the mercy of Prema Bhakti and become inclined towards Bhagavan. By the effect of his own internal potency, Swena Dhamna, he dispelled the illusion, Nirashta Kohakam, of Jnani Sadhakas, such as Sri Vasudeva Sarvabhauma. He, Jatra, manifested his opulence and glories in the 3 blissful dhammas of Navadvipa, Nilachal, and Shivrindavana, 3 Sarga. He is always true and eternal, Amrisha. I always meditate, Dhimahi, upon that Paratattva Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who is Satya Swarupa, whose form in nature are eternal and true, Satyam Param. Very, very beautiful. So Gurudeva, he associates every word of the Jamadya Sanjataha verse, the first verse of Bhagavatam, with the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very beautiful. Unparalleled. So in this way, we can understand that Shastra can have many different meanings depending on how much of realization you have. I many times explained that. Okay, so now we have the conclusion of this translation. And now, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is going to also write on his own Bengali language the continuation of that last meeting of Mahaprabhu and Rai Ramananda. So Shri Ramananda Rai asked, "O Lord, I have but one more doubt remaining within my heart. Please be merciful upon me and reconcile this. At first I saw your form as a sannyasi, but now I am seeing your dark complexioned form as a cowherd boy, Sri Shama Sundar. And also before you I see a golden doll, by whose golden bodily effulgence your entire body appears now covered. A flute rests upon your lips, and varieties of ecstatic emotions are causing your lotus eyes to restlessly rove about. After seeing your Swarupa in this manner, a most astonishing bhava awoke within my heart. O Prabhu, please abandon your deception and explain the factual cause of this. What was that very beautiful darshan that Rai Ramananda had? This is called Rasaraja Mahabhav. Rasaraj is the very form of Krishna, and Mahabhav is the very form of Srimati Radhika. So now he was no longer that sannyasi who came as Sachinandana Gaurahari. He was now Rasaraja Mahabhav, the combined form of Radha and Krishna. So now Ramananda, he's astonished and he's surprised. What am I seeing? Now he's going to ask, means he's asking to Mahaprabhu, please explain me what is going on. I cannot actually understand. Sri Ramananda Rai is witnessing both the sannyasi Swarupa of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and also his Rasaraja Mahabhava Swarupa. His sannyasi form is Sri Krishna, eternally in separation from himself, performing austerities. And his Mahabhava Swarupa is a manifestation of the special, eternal mood of Adhiruddha Mahabhava. Being supremely merciful, Sriman Mahaprabhu now desires to reveal the truth of his identity. Thus, a mood of majesty is manifesting here to some degree. Shri Ramananda Rai uses the word sandeha, or doubt, which should be taken to meaning astonishment in this context. Shri Krishna, standing in his threefold bending pose, with a flute to his lips and covered by a golden complexion, is the actual Swarupa of Mahaprabhu. Means Mahaprabhu is Krishna. Okay? If anyone say, oh, Mahaprabhu is the combined form of Radha and Krishna, to some extent. But who is Mahaprabhu really? In fact, what is the Swarupa of Mahaprabhu? That is Krishna. Okay? That is a fixed tattva. It's not Radha and Krishna combined in the absolute, equal way. Okay? Radha is not fully there, but Krishna is fully there. It's a very subtle thing. Maybe in future we can see that, how we can discuss that, okay? But just keep in mind what Gurudev is saying. I'm going to read again. Shri Krishna is standing in his threefold bending pose with a flute to his lips and covered by golden complexion is the actual Swarupa of Mahaprabhu. Means he's Krishna. Covered by a golden complexion. He's not Radha covered by a black complexion. So there are many differences there. Okay? So then next verse. Prabhu kohe Krishna tomar ganda prema hoy premara swabhava e janiha nishchoy Mahabhagavata deke stavara jangama taha taha hoy tara Shri Krishna spurana stavara jangama deke na deke tara murti sarvatra hoy tara ishta deva spurti. Keeping his true self concealed, Sriman Mahaprabhu said to Sri Ramananda Rai, you possess an exceedingly deep love for Sri Krishna. And it is the nature of Mahabhagavata, who has such a deep ecstatic love for the Lord, to not see everything simply as movable or inert. Rather, he sees Sri Krishna manifest everywhere. He does not see the moving or non-moving living entities or their forms. He only sees his worshipful Lord everywhere. Means those who are in a state of Mahabhagavat, means the topmost devotee. He's not more looking objects and things and plants or trees or animals or human beings. He's looking the Swarupa of all of them, as they are already engaged in their service to Lord. So this is a very, confidential realization. Until unless we have that, we can not actually intellectually understand what is to be seeing everyone already engaged in their eternal service to their Ishtadeva. It may be Krishna or Narayan or Rama, doesn't matter. So this is also one proof, that one very good evidence that the Swarup of the Jiva is eternal. It does not come about sadhana, it does not manifest due to association. It is already there. Because even the Jivas who are not doing sadhana, the Mahabhagavata can see what is their relation with his Ishtadeva. So if his Ishtadeva is already there, established, and the nature of that relation is also already present in the Jiva, in the soul, then what is the point of that not being eternal? The Jiva has not even started doing his sadhana. But that Mahabhagavata can see his soul and in his relation with his Ishtadeva. So Ishtadeva means Nitya, also eternal, as well as soul is eternal. So that relation between the soul and Jiva must be, and the Ishtadeva also must be eternal. In this way we can, argue here and there. But let us continue here. We are in a very, how many pages more? Yeah, a little bit more pages. Let's see if we can. Okay, so now, then comes now the definition given in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.45 about the Mahabhagavata. So that shloka, Sarva Bhuteshi Apashet Bhagavat Bhavam Atmana Bhutani Bhagavat Tatmani Esha Bhagavat Uttamaha. This is the definition of Uttamadhikari. What it says? The second amongst the 9 Yogendras, namely Sri Havi Maharaj, said to Nimi Maharaj, O king, he who sees in all living entities and all forms of lives Shri Krishna as the very soul of all souls, means like Paramatma, and who sees all living entities as parts and parcels of Shri Krishna, is the topmost amongst all devotees, a Mahabhagavat. Essentially, the Parama Bhagavat or Mahabhagavata sees his beloved Lord within all living entities and sees that same prema which he has for his worshipful deity present within all living entities. Only those great devotees like Vyas, who know Tattva fully and who are expert in spiritual attainment, are able to understand Bhagavan. They make the incarnations of Bhagavan, his personal character, form, activities, and his supremely pure ecstatic transformations, their own true goal. Consequently, they can genuinely understand his tattva. However, it is completely impossible for the demonic jivas, covered by the modes of passion and ignorance, to understand Bhagavan. The Lord keeps himself hidden too, just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing here. But when it comes to the Mahabhagavatas, the Lord cannot fool them. Every object is limited or bound by the 3 confines of time, place, and circumstance. Yet Bhagavan's nature, which is of unparalleled depth, crosses beyond all of the restrictions presented by these three limits. By his potency known as the Yogamaya Shakti, Bhagavan conceals his own form. Nevertheless, his exclusive devotees are always able to have his darshan. In other words, what he's saying that if Mahaprabhu wants or not to show, Rai Ramananda is able to see his eternal form because he's a Mahabhagavat. That's what he's saying. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada describes how Maharaj Nimi and King Videha inquire from Sri Havi Maharaj, one of the 9 Yogendras, about the vision, behavior, characteristics, and speech of each of the 3 levels of devotees, namely the Uttama, Madhyama, and Kanishta. And then Sri Havi Maharaj replied. So I think we can stop here and we can continue discussing about this last part, the 3 types of devotees and others, to the conclusion of the book next time. Okay? So we are going to stop here and continue tomorrow. Hare Krishna.